Okay everyone, so this is my fig tree. I've got it in the greenhouse here. We're in Wales in the UK, so it's not particularly easy to grow figs here. I did have two. These were cuttings from a big fig tree from the south coast of England, so a lot warmer down there. And I've been trying my hardest to keep it alive. It's doing really well this year. I've kept it in the greenhouse all summer. Normally I'll put it out, but it seems quite happy in here in the heat. So it's even got loads of figs on it this year, so that's really good. First time it's ever had figs, and it's got loads of them. I did prune it earlier on in the season, which I kind of regret now, but because it seems to have set back some of the branches a bit. But I think I'm going to take that branch off anyway and make a cutting from it. So last year I took cuttings from this, or early this year, I can't quite remember. So these are them cuttings. As you can see, started growing now, a couple of them anyway. Some of them have just stayed quite small, but I'm fairly certain at least 2 or 3 of these will have some roots. So I'm going to repot them individually today. I should probably leave them a bit longer, but I want to get them in their own pots so that they can grow on their own for the rest of the year. So I've mixed up some compost, normal compost. There's 2 just bits of old compost, like there's some wood chippy sort of compost and some really black compost I had. And I also mixed in a bit of grit, a bit of gravel, just because the figs don't like to be wet, so I want it to drain and dry out nicely. That's why I've got the perlite in this one, but I've run out of that now. This one's got a lot of perlite in as well. They seem to quite like that. Then you can water them really well, and you don't have to worry about the pot sitting there wet for too long. They don't seem to like that at all. So I'll let them dry out, quite dry in between, like until I can feel that the pot's light, even with this one. When it's dry you can tell the difference. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to take these out of this pot and try and pot them up individually, only into small pots. I've got loads of pots. Probably go some sort of pot like that or something similar. I'll pick one. We'll get them out of the pot first and have a look how the roots are doing. Okay, so gonna get these out of the pots. It's alright, it's just a bee. Got to check in case there's a wasp or a hornet. So we'll get these out of the pot and see what sort of roots they got on them. Hopefully, I think I can see some at the bottom there, so I'm quite hopeful we've got some rooted cuttings now. So I can separate these off if I can get them out. Sometimes it can be a bit of a pain to get out. There we go. Top one. Didn't expect that many roots. So I'm going to be really careful not to break too many of these, because they are actively growing now. All the white tips are really active, so I don't want to break too many, and I want to get them separated and into their pots. So I'm just going to try and work it apart gently. I find it best to kind of gently break it up. You can kind of feel when it gives, because if it comes off in big clumps it tends to drag the tips of the roots off. So if you're doing it during the winter you don't have to be as careful, but I've always been repotting things And I've read up a lot about what this. A lot of people in the bonsai community will tell you everything has to be done a certain way at a certain time, but you just got to know the trees and just try it. I've done this loads of times. I take cuttings in the summer as well, and they seem to be fine. So that one there's got some nice roots. So that'll be a good little fig tree cutting. You can see when I buried it, it was up to there, so we've got roots right down the bottom, and there's actually a couple more roots up here as well. So in theory we could cut that off and make another one, but we'll just kind of disregard them roots. I'll leave them there anyway for now. I won't cut them off, but I'm just going to bury it up to about there. So there's one. Nothing from this one, although it has got the nodules starting to form, so we'll put that back in. I should have brought a little thing of water in here. Really, these should be in water. But it's quite humid today anyway, so I'm sure they'll be fine. Again, nothing from that one. This one's rooted from one side. So we've got a fair few roots on here. Try and make sure they all go down instead of like pointing up. And we'll get that repotted. There's two. This one here has got some roots now. It hasn't even grown a leaf yet, and it's already got roots. And this one's got plenty. Just going to try and get these clumps off before I lift it up, because there's quite a lot of weight left in this soil at the moment on here. This one was a really funny one by the looks of it. Strange cutting. When I'm pruning it, it's not necessarily cutting as such. I'm just pruning and shoving the branches in, because that's all you need to do with the figs. So there's that one, it's rooted right from the top here. So I'll just chop this bit off. You can see it's kind of died, so chop it off here somewhere and we'll plant it like that. Another nice little pane. So we've got 4 with definite roots, 2 which didn't root. So the 2 which didn't root I'll just pop back in. Actually I'll put them in another pot I've got over here, which actually has another fig cutting in it. And 2 blueberry bush cuttings and a little tiny field maple cutting which hasn't died but it hasn't started growing, so it's been in there a while. That possibly could have rooted by now. So I'll just make a couple of little holes in here and we'll put these cuttings back in. Sometimes they just take longer, but I can see it's not died and it's got active bud on the top here. So it's still going to root probably. There's no real way to know where from, so I'll just bury some of this stem as much as you can really under the soil, and the roots will just come out wherever they want. Pop that back. I'll probably give it another water in a minute. Okay, so I'm thinking a pot about that big should be perfectly fine. Doesn't have to be too big. The figs kind of like being root bound. So I'll fill it up a bit in the bottom. Like I said, I'm not cutting any roots or anything. I'm just repotting these today. Make sure the roots are going down, there's no funny ones poking up, and then just place it in the pot and fill up the soil. And we just poke it down, tap it down, and we'll give that water and then put it back somewhere in the greenhouse. I'll do one more. I won't bore you with all of them. What I will do is I'll go get my secateurs, we'll cut that bit off the bottom, and we'll do that one. And then I'll just get the rest done off camera. Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to take this bottom bit off here. Not too low. You can't see the bit that's dyed at the bottom there. We get rid of that, and then I'll get another little pot for this one. Probably the same sort of size as that pot would be ideal. So one of them. Exactly the same as the last one. Fill it up a little bit. And then just make sure all your roots are spread out nicely and going downwards. Down and out rather than up or around each other. We hold it still in the middle, get the angle you want, and then fill in whilst keeping it still. Tap the soil around it, and it'll go on its own then, you don't have to push it down. You might break the roots if you do that, if you just shove it in. And then we firm it down a bit. Not too much, and then water it. Oops. I'm still on rainwater this year, believe it or not. So I've only got one big barrel of rainwater that runs off half the greenhouse, and then another little bucket down here which catches the other side of the greenhouse. So normally I'm out of rainwater by now, but as you can see it's raining now. It's been quite a wet summer, so that's one good thing anyway. So these two, I'm just going to put in one pot together for now, because even though they have rooted, they're both quite small, and it will just save a bit of space for a while. And we can always make it sort of like a twin thing, they might merge together. So we'll just choose like a nice angle, sort of like that, I think. We'll still be able to separate these later on if we really want to, but something interesting, we'll put them together. I'm only really watering them to set all the soil around the roots, because the soil is already quite moist. It's really humid and raining at the moment, so I don't want to overdo the watering. So there we go. Okay, so I've decided to do something else with this video as well. I was going to just put a bit of bamboo in with this one because it's a bit wobbly because they haven't got many roots, these two. Then I thought, why don't I just wire it? So I've got some bonsai wire left. I'll have to order some more. It's actually not bonsai wire, it's aluminium craft wire. I found it cheaper, so but it's exactly the same, it's just wire, it's aluminium wire. So I'm going to put some of that in here. I've also got some copper wire, some thicker stuff, so if need be, we might be able to put in a slightly thicker one. So I'm going to have a little play. I'll have a think and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've decided to at least do these thin ones. This one's got a new bit of growth at top which I should be able to bin. It'll also stabilise them in the pot a bit more while they're rooting in more. So there's nothing to lose. You just got to take the wire off before it starts biting, because they do grow quite fast. So I've been watching a lot of Heron's Bonsai, and there's a guy on there, I think he's called Padma Priya or something. Sorry if I got that wrong. But anyway, what he did in one of the videos, I'm not sure if it's exactly how he did it, but rather than cutting 2 bits of wire to go on, I'm just going to cut one piece of wire, and I'm going to wire both of these. So I'm going to do it like that, but with this bottom bit I'm going to actually bury it in the soil one side. So I'll go at the back, bury it in, not all the way down, doesn't have to go all the way down, and then I'm going to bend it, and bend one of them around that bit and one of them around that bit. Can be quite fiddly to begin with, but once you've got them secured you should be fine. So I'll anchor that one on there, try and go around that lump. And I'm holding the bottom with the other hand until it's secure, and then I'll do the other one, and I'll take it all the way up with this one. Again, I'm going to try and avoid that lump because it might have a bud at some point, so it won't be as neat as it could be because I'm going around things and I'm not that good at it yet. But as long as it's on there and relatively consistent, it should be fine. That worked out pretty well. One thing I will say about the wire is if you are using, I'll show you some, if you are using wire from electrical wire, it can be done. I have done it quite a few times, but this wire is vicious on your fingers. If you catch the end it can slice you and stuff, and it's quite hard to bend. Kind of wants to stay in that shape forever. Whereas the aluminium is a lot softer, even though it's still quite strong enough to bend things, but it's just easier to work with, a lot nicer to work with. So that one went quite long enough, but it should be fine. So now, rather than just having them in a pot, I can change the shape a little bit with this wire. Won't be able to do much, but I can change the angles and it'll kind of stay put. So I'm just trying to put some sort of movement in the, like some sort of bend, doesn't have to be anything particular. Just to make them a bit more interesting and hold them together. So I'll do the other one, I won't bother filming it again. Sorry, the geese are distracting me. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've got the wire on all three of them now. So I'll give them all the wire, I'll put them back somewhere in the greenhouse on the shelf. Down there somewhere. Got a few other cuttings, the little orange trees are over here as well. So we're just finding a gap for them for now. got little peppers here as well. That one there. And we've got the other one in that one, if you can see that. Little orange trees there. Quite cool. Okay everyone, so thank you very much for watching. I'll put all these back on the bench for now. Show you them one more time. There's the 3 big tree cuttings that we did today. We potted these on and put a bit of wire on them. So like I said, I'll leave them on the bench for a few days just so they get a bit more light, and I'll keep an eye on them, and then I'll move them back over there. So I hope you're all good. Hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one.